This chapter starts with the story of James. James is working as a network engineer in the company called Irash Technologies. His responsibility is to manage and secure the network of the Irash Technologies. Irash Technology is a multinational company which has multiple branches at different locations. Each location has their own network devices that are connected together with the help of service provider. Now, James is sitting at the head office of the Irash Technologies. Here, if he want to manage the network devices at the head office, what he can do? He can simply connect a laptop with the help of a console cable into the networking device and do the management. In this way, he can administer the network device and do the necessary configuration accordingly. Now, what if James want to connect the router which is located at the branch 1? How he can connect to this network device? So in this current situation, James need to travel all the way into the branch 1 and connect his laptop with the help of a console cable into the network devices of the branch 1. This branch 1 is located another geographical location which may be 100 km far from the head office. So James need to travel all this distance to connect to the network device at the branch 1. The same situation here at branch 2 as well. This may be a 200 km far from the head office and James need to travel all the way into the branch 2 office and connect his laptop with the help of a console cable. This takes a lot of time because James need to travel all the way to branch 1 and branch 2 and he need to come back to the head office. Now the question is there a better way to manage the devices which are located at the branch 1 and branch 2? The answer is yes. What if James can access the network devices located at branch 1 and branch 2 by sitting at the head office network? Then that would be very easy for him because he doesn't want to travel all the way to branch 1 and branch 2. So how can he do that thing? He can access the network devices that are located in branch 1 and branch 2 by sitting at the head office by enabling the remote access at the network devices at branch 1 and branch 2. So once he enables the remote access, then James can access those devices from the head office and do the necessary configuration changes accordingly. So in this chapter, I am going to teach you how to enable the remote access at the Cisco devices. Welcome to Irash Academy. In this chapter, we are going to discuss about two types of remote access method, which is Telnet and SSH. Welcome to the video. Welcome to CCNA 200-301, Implementing and Administering Cisco Solutions, chapter number 45. How to configure Telnet and SSH in Cisco devices. Learn CCNA with Irash Academy. I have placed the complete CCNA playlist at the top right corner of the video information bar. In this chapter, we will discuss about two methods of remote access for Cisco devices. We learn how to configure Telnet at Cisco devices. And we learn how to configure SSH at Cisco devices. Now let's talk about the Telnet. What is the Telnet? Telnet stands for Telecommunication Network, and it is called in short Telnet by taking these two words. Telnet is a network protocol used to establish a remote command line session on another device, such as a router, switch, or server. By using the Telnet, you can manage another device remotely. And when you do the Telnet to that device, you will get a remote command line session, and by using that command line session, you can manage that device. Telnet operates on TCP port 23 by default. Telnet is a reliable protocol, so they are part of the Transmission Control Protocol TCP, and they use the port number 23 by default. Now let's discuss about the key features of Telnet. One of the features, they use the TCP IP for communication. And TCP is a reliable protocol, so the Telnet is reliable for remote management. Telnet provides a command line interface for remote management. Telnet support unencrypted text-based communication, which are not secure at all. So the communication happening through the Telnet between the source and the destination device is in clear text format. That means anyone in between can steal that information very easily. That's why Telnet is considered as a less secure protocol for remote management. Now let's see what are the common uses of Telnet. One of the uses is remote access to the router, switches and server. Simply saying, you can use the Telnet to remotely manage another device such as router, switches or servers. Telnet is using for the network troubleshooting. This is one of the common use of Telnet. By using the Telnet, you can do the network troubleshooting. Another use of Telnet is testing open ports and connectivity. By using the Telnet, you can test if a specific port at the destination device is open or closed. This is very important when you are testing the network connectivity or the application access, etc. Now let's talk about the SSH or the secure shell. So what is SSH? SSH stands for secure shell. SSH is a network protocol used for secure remote access and management of the network devices, servers and computers. The difference between the Telnet and SSH is Telnet is a non-secure protocol and SSH is a secure protocol. SSH encrypts all data exchanged between the client and the server, preventing unauthorized access and eavesdropping. So whatever the communication between the client and server device, it is totally encrypted when you use SSH. That means a middle person cannot access the communication and see what is the content of the data. Only the authorized user can access the data. SSH operates on TCP port 22 by default. So same like Telnet, SSH is also coming under the transmission control protocol and they use the port number 22 by default. Now let's talk about the key features of SSH. One of the features is encryption. It encrypts all the data exchanged between the client and the server. In this way, the data is protected from any eavesdropping process. Another feature is authentication. SSH uses password or key-based authentication. That means only the authorized user can access the data. Another feature is remote access. SSH is using to securely manage routers, switches and the servers. Next one is file transfer. SSH support SCP and SFTP. SCP stands for Secure Copy Protocol and SFTP stands for Secure File Transfer Protocol. So by using these two protocols, we can do the file transfer between the client and the server. Now let's talk about the common uses of SSH. One of the uses is remote administration. Same like Telnet, SSH is also used for the remote administration. And second one is secure file transfer. By using the SSH, we can transfer the file between the client and the server. Third one is tunneling and port forwarding. SSH can be used for tunneling. That means you can create a secure tunnel between the source and the destination device and also able to do the port forwarding. Another use of SSH is at the secure JIT operation. SSH is also using as a VPN alternative and it is called SSH based VPN. We can create a virtual private network between two devices by using the SSH. Another common use is for troubleshooting and debugging process. By using the SSH, we can troubleshoot and debug the network. Another use is automating tasks and scripting by using the SSH. This is widely used in the network device management. Another use is secure database access. By using the SSH, we can access the database in a secure way. Now we can see what are the difference between the Telnet and SSH. At the left side, you can see the Telnet specification and right side you can see the SSH specification. The point number 1, Telnet transmit the data including username and password in plain text and making it highly insecure. On the other hand, SSH uses encryption to secure data transmission, preventing eavesdropping and unauthorized access. Point number 2, Telnet doesn't provide strong authentication mechanism. On the other hand, SSH uses various authentication methods including password, public key authentication and certificates. In this way, SSH is very secure. Point number 3, Telnet uses TCP port 23. On the other hand, SSH uses TCP port 22. Point number 4, in Telnet, no encryption. That means the data can be intercepted. In SSH, it encrypts all the data, making it secure for remote administration. Point number 5, Telnet used for simple remote access in closed trusted network. On the other hand, SSH preferred for remote secure administration of network devices and servers. And here, why Telnet is using only in closed trusted networks? Because it is not secure at all. Point number 6. In Telnet, data is sent in plain text, and because of that it is vulnerable to attacks. On the other hand, SSH uses encryption algorithm like AES and RSA to protect the data. Point number 7. Telnet doesn't support secure file transfer. On the other hand, SSH supports secure file transfer via SCP and SFTP. Here SCP stands for Secure Copy Protocol and SFTP stands for SSH File Transfer Protocol. So these are the main difference between the Telnet and SSH. By understanding all these features, you can understand Telnet is less secure and SSH is more secure. So you can decide which protocol you want to use for remote administration of the network devices in your organization. Now let me show you how to configure the Telnet and SSH in your Cisco device. For that, I am taking here the network architecture diagram of the company Irash Technology. At left side you can see the head office network where James is sitting. At right side you can see the branch 1 and branch 2 network. Each location has their main router. And the IP address of the head office router is 192.168.1.1. The IP address at the branch 1 router is 192.168.2.1 and the IP address at branch 2 router is 192.168.3.1. Now we will go to the each router and I will show you how to configure the Telnet and the SSH in that router. And before we start our lab, I will show you how to implement the Telnet access in Cisco device. We have to follow some of the steps to implement the Telnet access in that device. So the step number 1 is create a user account. Why do we need to create a user account? Because to access a device using the Telnet, there are multiple ways. One is accessing the device without a user ID and password. And the second option is access the device with a user ID and password. Which one is more secure? Of course, accessing by using a user account and password is more secure. So that's why we have to create a user ID and password in our Cisco device. So that's what the step number 1, create user account. Second option, select your access port, that is also called VTY. In your Cisco device, the line VTY is the access port that used for the remote management. Here you need to decide how many ports you need to open for the remote administration. If you configure 5 port, 5 concurrent user can remotely access the device. If you set it up for 15, then 15 users can concurrently access the device simultaneously. So you need to choose how many port you are going to open for remote access. So that is the step number 2. Select your access port. Now step number 3. Adjust the login type. So you need to tell to your router what is the login type required. There are multiple ways to log into the Cisco devices. I will explain those. So in this picture you can see router 1 and router 2 and they are connected together. So here the router 1 is the client device and the router 2 is the server device. Client device means from which device you are trying to do the Telnet, and the server device means which device you are trying to access by using the Telnet. So when we talk about the step number 3, adjust login type, there are multiple login type available in the Telnet. One is no login. That means a login is not required to access the device using the Telnet. As soon as you enter the Telnet command from the source device, you are in. No need to log into the device, no need to provide the password or no need to provide the username and password. The second option is login option. Login option means you need to log into the device to access the device using the Telnet. And for the login option, there are 2 different methods. One is with login password. You can configure a login password in your Cisco device and say, use this password to access this device via Telnet. And the second option is login local. Login local means you are configuring your Cisco device to access this device by using Telnet. You need to provide an account details, and this account details include local user account which contain a local username and a password. And this is the local user account we are going to create at the step number 1. So even there are multiple ways to access a device using the Telnet, the more secure way is the login local account which contain a username and password. So it is more secure than the other methods. Now in this network diagram, we are going to configure Telnet at the branch office 1 router, and we are going to configure SSH at the branch 2 router. So let's go to the lab and I will show you how to configure the telnet and the SSH. Now in the screen at left side you can see the head office router, and at the right side you can see branch office 1 router. Now before we set up the telnet, what is the minimum requirement we need to check? The first thing we need to check is the network connectivity between the client and server device. So here, which one is our client device? This is our client device because this is where James is sitting, and he will try to telnet to the branch router from this router, which is located at the head office. And this branch 1 router is the server device. Now we need to test the connectivity between the head office router and branch 1 router. In the same way, we need to test the connectivity between the head office router and branch 2 router. So first of all, go to the head office router and try to ping to the branch office 1 router. So let me use the ping command, ping. Then what is the IP address of the branch 1 router? It is 192.168.2.1 and press enter. Now here we can see it is pinging. That means there is a network connectivity to the branch 1 router. Now let's test the connectivity from head office router to the branch 2 office router. So let's go to the ping command, and what is the IP address of branch 2 office router? It is 192.168.3.1. Press enter. This is also pinging. That means there is a network connectivity between the head office and branch 2 office. So the connectivity part is fine now. Now I am going to telnet to the branch 1 router from the head office router. So what is the command that we can use in Cisco IOS to telnet? The command is telnet, then the IP address. And here what is the IP address of the branch 1 router? It is 192.168.2.1. And when I press enter, see, I get the message connection to 192.168.2.1 closed by foreign host. So this indicates that the foreign host, the destination device, that means the branch 1 router, is closed the telnet connection. It didn't authorize the telnet connection. And why it is like that? To find out the reason, we need to go to the branch office 1 router configuration. So let me go to the branch office 1, and to display the running configuration, first of all we need to go to the privilege mode by using the command enable. Then let me run the command show running configuration, then press enter, and it will display all the configuration that is available in the branch 1 router. And here we can see the lane console 0, lane console auxiliary, and lane VTY 0 to 4. So among these 3 lane interface, which lane interface is responsible for the remote access? That is the lane VTY. And 0 to 4 indicate the port from 0 to 4. That means 5 ports. That means the 5 ports in that lane interface. So one of the characteristic in Cisco device is you don't want to enable the telnet access in Cisco devices, because by default out of the box the telnet is enabled in Cisco devices. So no need to enable it by yourself. So this is the default setting that is available in a Cisco device. This indicates that the lane interface is configured 5 ports for the remote access, and to access that device login is required. So that means if you want to access a remote device using the telnet, you need to log into that device. That is the meaning of this login command. Now how you will log into the device, which credential you will use, or which username and password you will use, that is not mentioned here. Now you can see even login is required, it is mentioned here. But here when we telnet, it didn't ask to log in anything. Immediately I got the disconnection from the foreign host. And why Cisco IOS behave like that? To demonstrate that, first let me remove this login option from the branch 1 router. For that, let me go to the configuration mode by using the command configure terminal. Then let me go to the lane interface VTY 0 to 4. Now I am at the lane interface, and from here I am going to say no login. This means I am going to tell to the router to access this device remotely, no login is required. That means anyone can access this device by using the telnet. No need to enter any user ID and password. Now we go back to the head office router, then use the command telnet 192.168.2.1. Okay, and as soon as I press enter, see, it is trying to connect to this IP address and the port is open and I have landed into the branch 1 router interface. So that means I have successfully connected to this router without a password because we have configured no login is required to access this device. Now you can see I am at the interface of the branch 1 router. Now I need to go back to the console of my head office router. But from here, how can I go back? So to exit from the Telnet session and go back to the home device console, you can press Ctrl Shift 6 then X. Now you can see we have successfully come back to the head office router. Now let me go to the branch 1 router. I am going to tell to this router that login is required. So let me type the command login in the line interface VTY. Then press enter and see, as soon as I enter the login is required, then I got the error message. Login disabled on line 388 until the password is set. And what does it mean? It means that even if you type here login is required, but the login will be disabled on this port until the password is set. So that means if you didn't set a password under the line VTY, then you won't be able to log in. The connection will be closed by the foreign host. That means this router. That's why initially when we tried to telnet from the head office router, we got that error message. I will show it again. Now again, I'm going to use the telnet command, then 192.168.2.1. Press enter. See, we got the error message. The connection to the IP address 192.168.2.1 is closed by the foreign host. So this has happened because we didn't set a password here. Now let's set a password here in the branch 1 router and see if the telnet is working. Let me go back to the line VTY interface, then set a password. So I need to go to the configuration mode by configure terminal, then go to the line VTY 024. Then here I can put the password, and when I press question mark here, there are two options. Option 1, you can simply type a password and that password will be stored as an unencrypted format in clear text. That means anyone can see your password from your running configuration. The second option, if you have a hidden password or an encrypted password, you can use it. And for that, you need to use this option, number 7. So here I am going to use the normal password. So my password is Cisco 123. Okay, then I press enter. Now I have set the password Cisco 123 at my branch 1 router. Now let me go back to the head office router, then again do the telnet to this branch 1 router. Its IP address is 192.168.2.1 and I press enter. Now it is asking user access verification and it is asking the password. And which password we will use it here? This is the same password we have set under the line VTY interface. So our password is Cisco 123 and when I press enter, see, now I got the access to the branch 1 router. So this is one of the method of using telnet with the help of the password. Now let me go back to the branch router console by using the keyboard shortcut Ctrl Shift 6 then X. Now I am back at the head office router. Now we will see how we can set up the telnet access by using an user account which contain a user ID and a password. For that, first let me go to the running configuration of the branch 1 router by using the command show running configuration, and here under the line VTY interface we can see I have used a password here. Okay, then I use the command login. So that means login is required. This is the password we need to use. Now if we want to change the login type to a user account, we can do that thing. For that I am going to the configuration mode by using the command configure terminal, then again line VTY 0 to 4 interface. Then I can tell to the router for login you need to use the local user database, then press enter. And if you go to the running configuration, you can see here I have mentioned login local. So that means local user ID and password is required to access this device by telnet. So let me test it. Let me go to the head office router, then use the command telnet 192.168.2.1. Then when I press enter, it is asking the user access verification, and this time it is asking the username. In the previous option, it was directly asking the password because we had set a password, and this time it is asking the username because here we mentioned for login you need to use the local user database, and which user ID and password we will use it here. For that you need to create a user account in the branch 1 router. Then you can use that user ID and password to access this device by telnet. So let me create a user account in the branch 1 router. For that, let me go to the configuration mode by using the command configure terminal, then type username. Then what is my username? I'm going to put here the username Irash. Okay, then enter the question mark, and here you have multiple options. Either you can simply specify a password here, or you can put a secret here. Using a secret is more secure than the password. And in addition to that, you can set up the privilege level for this user. You can set up the privilege level. He needs the full admin access or read-only access, something like that. So here, for demonstration purpose, I am just using the option password here. Even it is not secure, I am just using here for demonstrating this option. So I can put the password here. Then in the password, I am going to use a clear text password, an encrypted password, which is Academy. Okay, so this is my password, and when I press enter, the username has been created. Now if I go to the show running configuration, here you can see this is the user ID and password I have created. The username is Irash and password is Academy. It is showing in the clear text because we use the option password other than the secret. Now let me go back to my head office router and use the command telnet, then the IP address of the branch 1 router 192.168.2.1. Press enter. Now it is asking the username, and what was my username? It was Irash, and press enter. Now it is asking the password, and what was my password? It is Academy. Press enter. See, now I got the access to the branch 1 router. So these are the different login methods that we can use in telnet. So this is how we set up and manage the telnet connection in Cisco devices. Now let's see how to implement the SSH access. So same like telnet, SSH access is also contain several steps, and let's see what are those steps. Step number 1, create a user account, and this user account will be used to authenticate the access. And step number 2, select your access port. Here we need to select how many ports we need to include in the SSH access. Step number 3, adjust the login type. This step specifies in which way you need to log in. You need to use a password to log in, or you need to use the local database user account to log in, etc. Now the step number 4, generate crypto keys. And why do we need to generate the crypto keys? As we said, the SSH protocol is a secure protocol, and it is encrypting the data between the source and the destination, or between the client and the server. So here, how the client and server, or the source and destination device, trust each other, it is with the help of the crypto keys. They exchange this key back and forth and strengthen their trust relationship. So that's why we need to generate the crypto keys. Step number 5, select the SSH version. So here, this step allows you to choose which SSH version you need to use. And step number 5, adjust the input protocols. So in this step, you can input which protocol you want to use. You need to use the telnet and SSH together, or you need to only use the SSH. So these are the steps that we need to follow during the implementation phase of SSH access. And if you see these steps, you can see the first 3 steps, it is the exact steps that we follow during the telnet configuration. These steps are common for telnet and SSH, and the remaining 3 is applicable only to SSH configuration. Now let's go back to the lab and configure the SSH access. And this time I opened the branch 2 office router because we are going to configure the SSH at the branch 2 office router. So let's follow the steps one by one. The step number 1, create a user account. So first of all, let me go to the privilege mode by using the command enable. Then let me go to the configuration mode by using the command configure terminal. And here I am going to create a new user account for the SSH access. For that, let me use the command username Irash and password academy. Now the step number 1 completed. Now let's go to the step number 2. Select your access port. So here let me go to the line VTY, then port number from 0 to 4. Okay. Then under the line VTY interface, we need to specify the login type. So here I am going to use the login type login local, so that we can use the local database to log into the device. And now step number 3 also completed. Now the step number 4. Generate crypto keys. How to create the crypto keys? So the Cisco device, they can generate the keys itself. We don't want to purchase the key from the outside. So to generate the crypto keys, I need to exit from the line VTY interface. So let me use the command exit. Now I am under the configuration mode. Now I am back at the configuration mode of the branch to router. And from here, we need to generate the crypto key. So the command that we are using to generate the crypto key is crypto, then key generate. This is the command. Then after that, press the question mark. And when we press the question mark, we get one option that is called RSA. In some of the Cisco devices, we get multiple options. So here, since we have only one option, we can use the RSA here. Then press enter. And when we press enter, we get one error message here which say, please define a domain name first. So that means if you want to generate a crypto key in a Cisco device, first of all, you need to define a domain name for that device. So here, let's define a domain name for this branch to router. So the command that we are using to define the domain is IP domain name. Then let's give a domain name called irash.com. So this is the domain name we are going to define for this router. Press enter. Now we have set up the domain name. Now let's generate the crypto key and it has to work. Let's go to the crypto key generate RSA. So this is our command. Okay, then press enter. Now it is saying there is already one RSA key generated before. So do you want to replace that? So here I am going to say yes, because I want to replace the previous RSA key. Press yes. Now it is asking how many bits in the modulus is required. By default, it is 512 bit. 512 bit, it is very weak number. Here we need to provide a strong number. So we can use the number from 360 to 4096. So for a decent security, we can use 1024 or 2048. So here I am going to use 2048 as a bit number. 2048, then press enter. Now the key has been generated. Now the step number 5 is select the SSH version. So how do we find out what SSH version we are currently running? For that, let me go to the privilege mode, then type show IP SSH, then enter. And here we can see currently I am using the SSH version 1.99, which is the 2.0 version. So if I want, I can change the version. For that, I can go to configuration mode, then IP SSH version. Then from here, I can select the version 1 or version 2. These are the two protocol version available in SSH. SSH version 1 is the old protocol and 2 is the advanced one. So here I am going to choose 2. By the way, I am already in 2 version, but I am just showing you the command how to change the IP SSH version. So here I am going to select the SSH version 2, then press enter. Now the step number 5 is also completed. So now we have configured the SSH. If we want, we can stop our lab from here. But there is one more additional step. It is to adjust the input protocol. And what does it mean? So as you know, in Cisco router by default, the Telnet protocol is enabled. And now we have configured the SSH. So in which method the user can access this device remotely? The answer is by using both the method, Telnet also will work and SSH also will work, because we have configured both, because Telnet is available by default and SSH now we have configured. So as you know, the Telnet is a non-secure protocol and SSH is more secure. So if we want, we can disable the Telnet and only allow the SSH so that our device will be more secure. So how do we tell the router only to use SSH and not to use Telnet? For that, we need to adjust the input protocols. So to adjust the input protocol, first of all, we need to go to the line VTY interface. So let me go to the line VTY 0 to 4. Okay, now I am at the line VTY interface. From here, I can choose which protocol I need to select as an input protocol. For that, I can use the command transport, then input. This is we are telling to router to accept the input only from some specific protocol. And when you use the question mark here, you get multiple option. Either don't allow any protocol, no protocols will be allowed, or allow all protocols, or allow SSH only, or allow Telnet only. So here we are going to select only the SSH for more security. So let's configure the SSH, then press enter. And now onwards, this branch 2 router will accept the input only from the SSH protocol and Telnet will be disabled. User won't be able to access this device by using the Telnet. Only they can access the device by using the SSH. So this is how we configure the SSH in the Cisco devices. And end of the configuration, don't forget to save your configuration, or else you will lose all the configuration when the device restart. So let me save the configuration here. That's it. Now we have successfully configured SSH at branch 2 router. How to access the branch 2 router using SSH from the head office router? Let me show you. For that, now I am at the console of the head office router, and from here I am going to access the branch 2 router using the SSH. So what is the command we can use in Cisco iOS to access a remote device using SSH? So let me start the command. It is SSH, then put the question mark, and here you can see two options. You can type the username for login and you can specify the SSH protocol version. So here I am not using the SSH protocol version because it will detect automatically what are the version using at the remote device. So here I am going to use the username. So I use here, then again press question mark. Now you can see the login name. What is the login name you want to use here? So this is the same username that we have created in the branch 2 router for the SSH access. So let me put that username here. It is Irash. Okay. Then after that, press question mark again. Now you can see two options. Here also you can specify the SSH protocol version, or directly you can enter the host name or the IP address of the remote device. So here I know the IP address of the branch 2 router, so I am going to put the IP address. It is 192.168.3.1. Let me press enter. Now it is asking me the password. And which password it is asking? It is asking the password for the user Irash that we have configured in the branch 2 router. So let me put the password. The password was set to academy. So let me put the password here, academy, then press enter. See, now I have successfully connected to the branch 2 router using the SSH from the head office router. Another method to connect a remote device using SSH is you can use the application like Putty in your computer. Then you can access the remote device using the SSH. So in the screen you can see the Putty application, and here you have option to put the IP address here, and here multiple options are available. Here you can use the SSH or serial interface or other, and from the other you can select multiple protocol like Telnet or login, etc. So if you want to do the Telnet, you can select the other option and select the Telnet from here. So you can see here the port number 23 is selected. And if you want to use the SSH, you just need to select the SSH and see now the port number changed to 22. And here simply put the IP address, then just click open. So you will get the SSH access to the remote device. So in this chapter, we have discussed about two methods of remote access for Cisco device. We have learned that how to configure Telnet at Cisco devices. And we have learned that how to configure SSH at Cisco devices. Thank you very much for watching and subscribe to the channel for more videos.